He's trying to beat you at your own game here.
I think
So
I think he is.
Wait, he's trying to what? I missed that. Mike.
he's trying to top or get closer,
Yes.
to on air. Is
Right.
this is a little
He
too close.
definitely wants to be last.
That's right.
He definitely wants to be last.
Yeah.
Too bad, Gabe. I'm last.
Yeah, and I might just switch the order anyways. I have that power. I'm so drunk. I'm drunk with power here. Wait, I lost you, Tom. Are you guys there?
I can.
Okay, we're back.
I'm still here.
Okay. What a way! I read a lot this weekend. I don't know what was getting into me because I had my eyes scraped out and
Oh,
like,
that's right.
yeah, it's
Must have worked.
I think it worked. It's like my eyes are this whole getting old. I always used to hate it when my parents would be like, getting old sucks. Getting old sucks.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree.
The eye stuff.
Would.
Oh. And I don't like messing with the eye stuff. It's just
No, that's scary, but it sounds like when it works though, it makes everything a lot better.
yeah. I mean, I still have to wear glasses for seeing. I mean, I could take these off and I see you fine, but just gotten used to it. Just clear it this way. But the distance, man, I can see like I got sniper vision now, man.
That's amazing. Well, I saw your quotes coming in for different books over the weekend, so I saw you were very productive in your reading too.
I was productive in my reading. One of those was yours, Tom.
I know. Thank you very much.
You're very
my
welcome.
My favorite book of the fall and perhaps the year.
Really?
Yeah.
You're putting it
Which
up
one?
Lauren
That's
Groff.
the Lauren Groff.
Lauren Groff.
Okay, you're putting it up there as favorite of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. Well, and all you listening, just go ahead and put your order in. Just
pre-order it.
Just put your
Pre-order it.
pre-order in. It'll show up.
Game.
I think it's what, September? It's coming?
Yeah, might be like September 12th.
Yeah. But then I did read, this is an older one that Gabe talked about. I read Yellowface in like 2 sittings. It was, I mean, I know it's hard for you guys to read other publishers' stuff because you have so much of your own, but honest to God, it's such a just laceration of the publishing world.
I know, that's why I'd like to make time for that reason.
Yeah,
And
me too.
You know, honest, and it is truly a very quick read. I mean, I think it's still on Edelweiss and you can download it.
Okay.
So you would, even if you downloaded it and just read like the first 10, it would give you that instant, it is instantly just like grabs you and goes, okay, here you go.
Wow.
It was good. I think some of us saw some on the Facebook. I can't see your comment yet because I haven't got out to that screen, but I think some people here have read it. So anyways, without further ado, I'm not guessing Gabe's coming. Boy, I was trying to like.
This would be very hot if he came in.
This would be very hot.
This would be burning hot. This would be.
But Gabe is kind of burning hot in his own mind.
Yes.
And I would say that to his face.
I know you would.
All right.
Or you can just watch the recording and hear you say.
And he can hear me say it. All right, Steve, take us away.
All right. Well, coming out tomorrow is a book I'm very excited about, and it is The Art Thief. Am I coming through? I'm kind of breaking up on my screen. The Art Thief. This, for those of you who are familiar with Indie Next, which is the list of books created by independent booksellers of their favorite books each month. This is #1 for July. And The Art Thief, it's nonfiction. It's by Michael Finkel, who a few years ago wrote another great nonfiction book called Stranger in the Woods about the Maine hermit and this crazy guy. That's also a great one. But this is a true story about this young man, who starts selling, or not selling, he starts stealing art from all these little museums in Europe. I think he's German. And with the help of his girlfriend, he steals millions of dollars worth of art, tapestries and statuary and weapons, medieval weapons and paintings, just gorgeous art. And they can't catch the guy who's doing this. And it's all because he's not selling it. He's hoarding it. He and his girlfriend in his little room in his mother's apartment, it's filled with all this incredible art. And he feels like he's the only person who deserves to have this art to look at every day. And it's just an amazing story. He really perfects the art of stealing. You know, he knows most of these little museums have very little security. They have some security cameras and maybe one guard or two. So he really he just is really skillful at like getting statuary out of a plexiglass. You know, plexiglass is locked in front, but he just goes around back and has detaches it through by going around back. So he's really an expert. He usually has a plan, but sometimes he'll spontaneously just see something he wants and grab it, you know, and he's stuff it in his coat, you know, whatever. He does all these crazy things. And eventually he will get caught, and then even more crazy things happen. So I highly recommend it. It's a hoot, and it's The Art Thief, comes out tomorrow.
These stories that are like this and they're true, they blow my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
we were comparing it to one of my favorites of a few, and I think Amanda's favorite of a few years ago, the Feather Thief. Also about theft and obsession.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like these guys get obsessed with, well, I didn't read The Feather Thief, but he was actually he was selling it in the black market though, wasn't he? Those feathers, right, yeah. I think he was. Where this one kind of,
yeah, that's true. This is the
this kind of gets to my hoarding kind of personality that I sort of love about it, where it's like, I think this is great. I want it. Yeah. Amanda's on here and she said impulse shopper. He's an impulse thief.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if like museums and things have like changed their way of dealing with the plexiglass.
That I would think they would have changed.
It's crazy. But, I think Mallory's read this, and I think she really liked it because she likes the true crime stuff, and so I think she's really liked it too. So looks like a good one.
True crime and obsession.
And kind of a hoarding obsession. And I kind of love that he's living with his mom while he's doing all this.
That's just ridiculous.
Oh, Beth's on here. She already ordered this one after she heard him in an interview.
Oh, great.
And she says it's amazing how the author has been able to recover his firing from the New York Times.
That was a long time ago.
Oh, was it? Okay.
He recovered before Stranger in the Woods. He had recovered from that firing. So it's been a while.
This guy's kind of, I kind of love this a lot.
Yeah.
And then Kim, I think it's you on here that read Tom Lake. Isn't it good? Oh, so she got an arc somehow. It's so good. So great. Good. Everybody does need to order that. It's just, and too bad Gabe's not here to listen to us brag about it.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right, Tom, ready you got.
Okay. My first book is probably going to be one of our biggest books of the summer. It's The First Ladies by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray, who I think 2 years ago, we published The Personal Librarian, which was a book that just sold and sold and sold for a very long time. I mean, it was a word of mouth bestseller. It was Good Morning America pick. It just had so much going for it. And that was a book that they wrote about the librarian for the Morgan Library.
Morgan Library, right, yeah.
And a sort of a forgotten story of African-American history. And so Marie Benedict is white, Victoria Christopher Murray is black. And so their relationship formed during the pandemic. And they wrote, that's what's interesting. One of the interesting things about their books is they're writing in conversation with each other in a way that we all want to be more in conversation with each other. And the books grow out of that. So this book, The First Ladies, that's Eleanor Roosevelt and Mary McLeod Bethune, who was known as the First Lady of the Struggle. So she was a contemporary of Eleanor Roosevelt, a little bit, maybe about 10 years older. And she already had a history of the civil right, being a leader in the civil rights movement around the turn of the 1900s and later. And then she became friends with Eleanor Roosevelt, and together they made so much progress, in the Roosevelt administration, in the country. And it's a fascinating, women's friendship, but also across class and race, and a lot of divides that, were unheard of at the time, basically. And it's during World War II. It comes up to World War II, and it ends at the founding of the UN, which they were both there. So it's a really inspiring. I would call these like inspiring histories that are. It's an easy way to learn history. But there have been she's been on a stamp. She's there's a college named after her in Florida. So there's a lot here, and I think it's going to appeal, exactly to those millions of readers who discovered The Personal Librarian. So that's out tomorrow in hardcover, The First Ladies.
Yep, and I love these fictionalized accounts of these women through history that people put together, I think, and they do a great job. They do a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, when they're done well, you do learn a lot, but it goes down so easy.
Right. And I think the reason that it has to be, because they do, I mean, I've interviewed enough of these ladies who do the research on these historical novels, and really they fill in the dialogue that can't be in a history book, but all the background and all of the things that are happening, really.
That's all true. Yeah.
It really usually is. So, yeah. So, Tom, for you, Beth Johnson's on here. She said she just read Pineapple Street, and she said that was a pleasant read. And she also watched our interview with Jojo Moyes, and read that one too. And that is the perfect summer read.
Yeah, you're right. That's right.
I think Jojo, it's because Jojo, from Me Before You, was a little, but this one I think is just that juicy, just like, talking about shoes and just like,
Yes, right. And it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was really good. Okay, Steve, what do you have for us next?
Well, before I get to my next book, Jenny Jackson, who wrote Pineapple Street, is one of our editors at Knopf Doubleday. Incredible editor, and one of her authors, who is a favorite at Warwick's, has a new book coming out next spring. Kevin Kwan has a new book, and it is hilarious. I'm about halfway. I'm almost halfway through, and it's so funny. It's great. And
don't tease me like this, Steve.
I'll try to get you something early as soon as I can.
Well, more than that, I just want him to come to...
The Jenny Jackson connection is too good to resist.
It is. Yes, she's fantastic. She's
she's got so many good authors.
And she really is able to find authors who can tell a great story with humor. I mean, that's and which her book is too,
Right.
So,
exactly. Yeah.
Right. But more than excited about, I'm excited about Kevin's book, but you know me, I'm the events person, so it's like
yeah, you go there first.
I'm already planning.
Sign me up.
Okay. Well, the next book for me that comes out tomorrow and not next spring, is The Rachel Incident by Carolyn O'Donoghue. And it's her first adult novel. She wrote a children's novel or young adult. And this is like among the sales reps who sell Knopf and Doubleday, this is one of our favorites from this list and coming out. It's just it's an Irish friendship, coming of age, lots of heart. It's really funny. It's really funny. She's
funny.
She's just a fantastic writer in that Irish tradition of, just being able to tell a story that's funny, and the way her turn of a phrase, she just has a great way of turning a phrase that you guys will love it when you read this book. So Rachel is a young woman. She's an English major at a college in Ireland. I can't remember if it's in Dublin. It must be in Dublin.
Dublin or Cork?
Or
Is
they're
it
in
Oh, it's in
Cork.
Cork. It's
I
in
think she's in
Cork.
Cork.
It's
Yeah.
in Cork.
Yeah.
And she works at a bookstore. And she has a crush on her English professor. And she has such a crush on him and he's written a book, a very boring academic book, but she decides to put on a book signing for him because she has this crush on him. Meanwhile, there's a young guy who's started working at the store who they're like instant friends, it's love at first, friendship at first sight, and she finds, he keeps saying, she thinks he's gay, but he keeps saying he's not gay. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Okay. So after the book signing, she discovers her new friend with in the book, and it's one of the funniest little scenes or set pieces you'll want to read in the book. But it's really, funny, heartwarming, great characters. I highly recommend The Rachel Incident.
As I do. It's Beth, that you did the JoJo's book. This is another perfect summer read because it's just laugh out loud funny.
Yeah,
It's cringeworthy. There are
Yes.
some things where you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like going, oh no, don't
do that.
don't
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
It's-
So Steve, I told you I'm listening to it on
Yeah.
audio, and it's
Oh.
fantastic. And so since I talked to you last, I've gotten to the incident and the
Oh,
dinner
okay.
party, and
Mhm.
oh my god,
Right?
Yes.
But it's
I mean,
so,
you think
it's
you
also-
kind of think Bridget Jones's Diary a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
a little bit. That's a great comp.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also I feel like there's Nick Hornby in here.
Oh,
Yep.
yes. Yeah.
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 But it's also it's cringy. It's that scene is, I'm cringing, but I feel a lot for these characters because I've grown to love them all in their
Yeah.
foibles, their mistakes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's
It's real.
It's
I
great.
just thought I read that. That's another one, kind of like Yellowface. This is another one that's like it can be a 2-sitting kind of read. It's
Yeah.
just like
Uh-huh.
you can just blow through this one and just
Yes.
like
Yes.
but it satisfies on so many levels.
It
know.
sure does.
I mean, I haven't finished the audio, but I'm racing through it now because I love it so much. But I know
Yeah.
I'll miss the characters
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. So
And
I
I
mean,
think-
it sometimes I'm not a big fan. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not usually a big fan of when somebody crosses over to the adult from the YA world because
Yeah.
sometimes it still just has a little too much of that.
Yeah.
And this one didn't. It was just like,
No,
this
not
is
at all. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
if
so
you
good.
hadn't told me that, I wouldn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, I don't think I did when I first started listening to it.
Yeah. And that's a bad prejudice to have. But I haven't. Sorry.
Because it's very
'Cause it's kinda true.
increasingly common. It's happening all the
Oh,
time.
all the time. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of true some of the times where it's just like,
Yeah.
so I
And-
don't
and- oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah. I don't come to that without knowledge,
Without experience.
without experience. I don't come to that conclusion without some experience.
And I think, Steve, is this also a Jenny Jackson book?
I was trying to look it up.
I
think
think
it is
it might
because-
be.
I think
Because I
think it is
remember
Jenny.
listening to an interview with her about Pineapple Street, and they asked her, what books do you have coming? And I'm pretty sure that was
Okay.
the first I'd heard of this book.
I think you're right.
I think you're
it
right,
is
too.
One of Jenny's. Yeah.
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 Of
Just
course.
even more Jenny love going on here. So
Yeah. A lot of
Jenny's
Jenny
going to
love.
become our new Pam Dorman,
I know, exactly.
where it's like
That's
you can't,
great.
you just can't, you can't go wrong with a Pam Dorman,
They-
and you can't go wrong with a Jenny Jackson book.
They
So,
both, and they
So
both have their
true.
fingers on the pulse of like the Warwick's reader.
oh, absolutely,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. You
That
guys.
is right in our wheelhouse. All right, okay, Tom. Oh, I'm
Okay.
so glad you talked about Rachel Incident. I didn't know it was out. I'll have to do that as my weekly pick. That's a good one.
Yeah, and the audio, I recommend the audio too, because I don't know who she is, but she's an Irish actress and she's fantastic. So my next book is the debut of a great new voice. The book is called The History of a Difficult Child. Miret Sibat, hopefully I got that right, an African writer. who I think now, she lives in Africa, but I think she's been in the States, maybe taught in the States also. But this is the first novel, and it's one of those, well, you can, and also one of my favorite covers of the year, just because you can see the joy, the rambunctiousness of this character and this voice just jumps off the cover with that illustration. And that's really that's what I love most about this book, was the voice. So it's set in Ethiopia, again, a country that I know very little about. Certainly, this is the 1980s in Ethiopia, where there's been a revolution and a socialist military junta is in charge. So the character, the main character, she comes from a landowning family. So they're dealing with the land being taken away from them by the new government. So lots of struggle and strife in this family. But yet the joy of the character and the determination not to let any of this stop her from what she wants to achieve in her life. And she's sometimes cursing her country, sometimes cursing God. But through it all, you know she's going to survive. So it's that Publishers Weekly, Kirkus were major starred reviews. I expected to get tons of review attention and be, on nominated for like debut novel, like best debut novel of the year kinds of lists. So it's for readers of Ya Jesse, The Girl with a Louding Voice. Those are the kinds of books that, definitely those readers will love. The History of a Difficult Child, on sale tomorrow.
Sounds great. And like you said, I love the learning about a time period in a country that,
yeah, exactly. It's not even contemporary. I don't know much about contemporary Ethiopia either, right. but 1980s, really, no, nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing that it's like, because in today's day, like if you looked at Iran or some of the other countries, if you look at them in the 70s versus now, it's like completely different countries. So even a time period in a country can be,
right.
We just in the United States just seem to keep repeating ourselves.
Yeah, there's a dullness and the sameness about
dullness and the sameness that we do in this country. Yeah. I was just watching the show 1971. It's a documentary all about the music in 1971. So good, Steve. I think it's on Apple.
I want to see it. I get Apple, so.
Okay, it's on. I think it's on. I think as I was scrolling yesterday, I think it's on Apple. Don't quote me, but it's called The Music of 1971, The Music of the Year, or something like that.
Best year for music ever.
So good, so good. I mean, and talks about like Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. John Lennon's Imagine, and what was the precursor to Imagine coming out. And it's a series, so I thought it was just going to be one thing. So there's more. I got what I can the first out.
I think Blue is 1971. Joni Mitchell's Blue is.
Yep, and Ohio, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Ohio.
Sticky Fingers by the Stones.
That's and then the Stones is coming. The Stones songs are coming. So that wasn't in the first one.
So it's a series?
Oh my God. So no, 1979 was not the best year for music.
Well, 71. This
is 71, but Amanda's on here saying 1979.
79?
No,
that's
wrong.
So.
That's when a lot of disco came out. I was around in 79 was my era. I'm going to argue with him on that one. But 71 was really good.
Really good.
It's a really good documentary. I don't know what made me. Oh, but back to the moment of time of things happening, and some of the stuff some of the discord that was going on in this country at that time, kind of looked like just news footage we've had for the last like 5 years.
Wow.
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Amanda, you love disco. Well, then that might be why he likes it then. So back to you, Tom, with Pam Dorman and Jenny, because we forgot to mention when we were bragging about Jenny and everything, that Pam was Jenny's,
so there's her book is the ultimate, right?
Kind of a little meta.
Pam Dorman, Jenny Jackson joint is Pineapple Street.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so fine 1971. It was
okay.
It is. I think you will. It's good. All right, lightning round.
All right. Also coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow's a great day.
Tomorrow's a good day, which is really weird for July.
Yeah,
or June.
I-
I guess we're in
June.
June. It's
We're
a little
still
weird for
in-
June
yeah,
to have-
barely.
Yeah, we're at
Yeah.
barely, but yeah,
yeah.
end of June. All
Okay,
right.
Save What's Left. This is by Elizabeth Castellano. I think it's her first novel. I'm forgetting now.
Okay.
It's not a Jenny book. It's a young editor named Caitlin Landau, who's been really finding some great authors to publish. And this book, Save What's Left, the story is a woman, she's in her 50s or maybe early 60s even. She's in the Midwest somewhere, or maybe even Oklahoma. And one day her husband says, you know what? I'm going to buy a boat and see the world. Toodle, a toodle air. And off he goes. And she goes, what? And what am I going to do now? And her daughter, she has a daughter, lives in Oregon, says, go, Mom, come live with us. And she said, I don't want to live with you. And she also has a friend living in a seaside resort community in New York, who says, oh, the old friend of hers says, you should move here and we'll be friends again. And you can buy a house online, which is what she does. She buys a house online. And it turns out to be like a converted fishing. Right next to it is being built a 3-story mega mansion and workmen are everywhere and there's debris. So right from the start, she begins fighting City Hall, and trying to stop this construction. And there's another woman across the street who's been already at it for, quite a long time. The writing is really funny, really, really great. At Turning a Phrase, again, this Elizabeth Castellano is really, really good at just catching that moment-to-moment reaction of her characters as these things happen to them. And it's like reading or watching a great Diane Keaton movie. That's what this is like. To me, and the neighbor could be Lily Tomlin, so it's just really good. It's really good. What am I doing there? Save What's Left, Elizabeth Castellano, out tomorrow.
And it sounds like I'm hoping, and I'll look at this up later if you don't know, but it sounds like she might be an older author.
That's true. I think she is.
Yeah,
and which reminds me that if you have readers, customers who are, I loved, oh my God, Lessons in Chemistry. I love Lessons in Chemistry. Can you recommend anything else? This will be a good one for the people who love Lessons in Chemistry.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too, because I was just like, it just sounds like it's from the point of view of somebody who's kind of been there in that age group.
Yes.
So,
Well, now that you say this, I mean, I knew this, but it's suddenly like I'm reading books for spring 2024, and I just read one by that kind of author, an older author, and of course it's Lessons in Chemistry that has, made suddenly older authors are hot, right?
Right.
Publishers
Well,
like to follow
I
hits, so.
think it's Anne Youngblood. She wrote a book called Meet Me at the Museum. She was like in her 80s, I think, when she got published for the first time. I mean, she's the us Warwicks, us 1896ers have always had an affinity for our older authors.
That's true. That's true.
I love it. I think Beth Johnson, I think you're talking about, I think she said, Steve, that she's got this book on her list already. It was already on her list of things to look for. So good stuff. All right, Tom, take us home.
So Berkley, publisher of the mega best-selling Happy Place, and we have a new Emily Henry coming next summer.
Ooh.
Maybe sooner, spring, I can't remember. But so Berkley knows this category of books. So this is kind of not a great print, but it's The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. She wrote The Dead Romantics last year. So it's a paperback original out tomorrow. And The Dead Romantics was one of the big surprises of last summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was either Good Morning America or the Today Show. It was just a super, it got fantastic reviews. I remember it was chosen the end of last year by the New York Times as the romance columnist's favorite romance of the year. So she's at the top. She's at the top of her game. So it's great to have a book from her right away, and it's a similar kind of high concept idea. So the main character had a snag in her life. She's struggling, in love especially. Her aunt dies. She's in her aunt's apartment. And her aunt had always told her that there was something magical, supernatural going on in that apartment. And then she meets a guy there who is the perfect match for her, except from the title, the 7-year slip. They're 7 years apart. They're living 7 years apart. So it's got a bit of this supernatural twist, and yet it's grounded in a real reality. So it's not, not totally supernatural, but it's got a little bit of that. Now there's an author, John Searles. Do we know who this is? I didn't know him. Searles. He must be pretty big because he was recommending books on the Today Show last week.
Okay.
And this was one of the books he recommended. He called it magical, he says magical, literally magical, time traveling apartment. An adorable love story between a workaholic book publicist and a temporary roommate with a Southern drawl. If you're looking for a sweet, breezy, heartwarming romance with a bit of magic, look no further. So that is out tomorrow. Paperback original, The 7-Year Slip.
Our fans that are
great.
I know it sounds really
Yeah.
good. Ariel on here, or sorry, not Ariel, sorry, Arlene. I thought my eyes were fixed, but maybe they're not. She said she loved the Dead Romantics and can't wait to read this one. So so there's that. And then Beth Doherty corrected me that the woman who wrote Meet Me at the Museum, I think her Anne something, she was in her 70s. I made her a little older than I
Maybe
thought.
she's now in her.
Maybe she's now in
Yeah,
her
could be.
80s. Could be. She might be in her 80s now. I gotta do that. But yeah, I think we hit it on the head today with it. Everybody, what you guys are recommending that's new, and what are people that are out there watching us. So fun stuff.
Great summer reads, all of it.
Really good summer reads. And Youngson. Yeah. And we did an event with her a while ago for we did an online event with her that Amanda just put onto the comment section. So lots of really good summer reads. I forgot about the Rachel. I don't get me wrong, you guys. I love reading advanced copies and getting the early reads on them because it's so much fun. It's kind of a perk of the job. But then I forget when they come out. You know what I mean? And then it's I'm walking around the store. It's oh, that's out.
That's out, right? I know.
Yeah.
So that's why I love this, because it reminds me. So I can go put my little name in a bunch of these books that are out.
Well, and
Good idea.
I so rarely read Steve's books or other,
Right.
but this was one that I'm so glad that I am doing.
Yeah, it's
Me too.
really good. And I will have to say, you guys will enjoy Yellowface.
Okay.
Just knowing.
Do you know if it's an audiobook too?
I don't know. I'm gonna
Okay.
say yes, but
right.
but I don't know. That I don't
Okay.
know. But it really is a quick read. I mean, I could have probably finished it in one day. It's that quick. I mean, it's a little under, just over 300 pages, I think, 313. I could have squeezed it in one, but I was just I was savoring some of the stuff. It's just
Yeah,
but I couldn't wait to
I
get
do
back
have
to
to
that.
do that one for sure.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Steve, for coming in today. Okay, Kim is saying yes, it is in audio because she listened to it. She listened to
Yay.
Yellowface. So,
Okay.
yep. That might be better. It might be easy for you
Yeah,
guys
I'll do that.
when you're driving to your appointments. You can
Yeah.
listen to it.
Or I was pulling weeds yesterday, listening to more of the Rachel incident. So it's perfect.
There you go.
That's
Oh,
great.
that's what I should do. I'm looking
Pull
out at my
weeds?
bank right now. Well, I need to pull weeds. The rain was great, but the weeds that have come up from
Yeah,
it
I
is
know.
not so great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate doing that. All right, everybody have a good reading week. It's a good reading week. There was lots of good stuff this week. So we'll all see you next week. Bye.
Bye.